I want to bring something up that's been really pressing on my heart lately because this is something that's really important for like everyone, especially right now as we are progressing into 2025 and our future, really. I mean, I know that it's not news to anybody that this year is a big year in a lot of ways, but for the most part, we are stepping into a new frequency. We are in a new frequency. Essentially, we are meant to do now. We are supposed to be jumping into the things that we are meant to do, or it's going to be really freaking hard to end up doing that eventually. Previously in our lives, we've been able to kind of flip flop back and forth between higher frequency, low frequency, or, jumping back into our patterns and then being spiritual or whatever it may be through you. For me, what's been the loudest is sharing my gifts. I'm in school for music. A lot of people know that. But nobody really has heard my music or like has any idea that I can really sing. And this is stemming from, well, it comes from the fact that I don't share it, but the fact that I don't share it is coming from my own self belief, my self sabotage, my self criticism. And I wanted to talk about this because everyone has this. Okay. So we all have tendencies to self sabotage, right, in different ways. But I have something that's working for me as an answer, at least. Obviously, this isn't for everybody, but astrology has been such a big helping hand in my life as far as helping me understand myself on a way deeper level. And that knowledge of yourself can really aid your radical self acceptance, which is directly on your path to self love, true self love, which is necessary for your survival, honestly, especially going into where we're headed. So, there's a point on our natal charts. It's an asteroid called Chiron. So Chiron is our wounded healer, and it is something that helps us. The placement is something that will help us activate our superpower or our medicine for the world, for society. Something we're here to share for sure. And so, like a brief history of it, like Chiron was the son of Kronos, which is Saturn or the god of time. Kronos fell in love with a sea nymph who just was like disgusted by him. But anyway, they conceived a son, and that was Chiron. And because he was half of Kronos, she was just like, ugh, I don't want anything to do with this child. So she abandoned him. And so Chiron has that abandonment wound, which most of us have. I mean, all of us have that in some way. And if you can't find it, like when you start thinking about this and you start learning about your Chiron, if it doesn't make any sense about your childhood, because it's usually a childhood thing, then it's something about your past life, right? So you got to search deeper into one of your past lives. Most likely that's where that's coming from if you can't trace it into this life. But so anyway, later in Chiron's life, he's wounded by Hercules' arrow, one of Hercules' arrows. And because he's immortal, he just always has this wound forever. And so he kind of tries to like destroy himself over and over again and fails at that, to get rid of it, and to like he can't stand living with this wound. So it parallels with us because like the lesson in that story is that he had to figure out how to work with it, how to embrace it. And that's the way out of it. You can't just kill yourself and get out of it. Like you have to work with it and heal it on your own in your own way and use that eventually as your strength. And that's so powerful. It becomes a very potent medicine. So there are wounds, obviously, in our lives that we sometimes never heal from, because fully, at least, we never fully heal because we'll never forget those things that happen to us, right? Some people block it out or whatever, but that's obviously not healthy. We've seen evidence of that. So we need to in this life, we are meant to find out what this Chiron placement is for, what it means about our abandonment wound, where it is, and what happened essentially, And healing that, and through the processing of that, and through the understanding of that and acceptance of that, we can then move past it in a way that can become very healing for others through our testimony and through our story. And that is something that we're supposed to do. It's not the only thing that we're supposed to do or meant for in this life, but it's definitely one of them. And it's a big one. So, for example, my Chiron is in my 12th house. The 12th house is the wound of betrayal, and every different house has a different type of wound associated with it. So the 12th house is the ruler of spirituality, hidden things. This is also the house of past lives, hidden gifts and talents and things like that, addictions. Wound is a deep spiritual past life, psychic wound. Essentially, I was most likely cast out or persecuted somehow for my beliefs in another life. So maybe I was like a witch and they, murdered me for my belief system spiritually, my spiritual beliefs specifically. It's also in Leo. That's the sign that it's in. And so Leo, when I haven't healed that part of it, which is, I've been processing it recently, you can be self-critical, highly self-critical, or on the opposite end, boastful, just like the extremes of like super self-critical, which that is the end of that spectrum that I have been on. And then when you have a balanced Leo, Chiron, you are passionately creative and productive. I'm not productive hardly ever. And that comes from me having that wound and being highly self-critical, feeling highly unworthy. My deep wound has to do with my past life experience around my spiritual gifts, and I can see it is manifested through my self-criticism. As I've processed this and radically accept this, I've seen things from a different perspective of myself in my life, in my reality, that it has manifested through. And it's like, holy crap, like that's so obvious. The fact that I haven't shared my music and that I haven't been just singing, like I love singing and dancing and stuff. Like I shared a dance video a long time ago. I was 20 or 21, I think, when I did some freestyle dance on Facebook. I don't know, but it was something that I put together. It wasn't like a trend. Nothing was trending yet at that time. Doing that made me so happy. So I haven't done anything like that in a long time. And a lot of it is because I gravitated towards relationships that devalued me. And it's not their fault, obviously. It's my fault for putting myself there and for my low self-worth. And so my most recent manifestation of it is the fact that I'm in school for music and they make us create current music. They make us, like especially this semester, this is my final couple months and before I graduate, and my final project is demanding so much of me. But even last quarter, like I put off a lot of the difficult songwriting stuff. I had never written songs before. I'd written lyrics and I had written instrumental music, but I've never put them together to make full songs. And I had to do that. And I did not put my full effort into it. And that absolutely stems from my low self-worth and me thinking that I wasn't somehow meant to do this because it was hard for me. But I also kind of probably exaggerated how hard it was because I was not trying to fail. Like if I had put my all into it and then I failed, like that would be a bigger confirmation for me of, well, I'm just not supposed to do this. This is not my path. But like I know that this is my path. I know that this is part of my path at the very least. And if I don't start heading in that direction, I'm gonna get further behind on it. So like whenever in our human body, we have our muscles, and if we don't use a certain muscle that we have, over time, it will atrophy and it will get smaller and less strong or whatever. Similarly, our talents, gifts, skills, and abilities, if we don't use those, because those are given to us for a reason, they're given to us to share. And if we don't use them, if we don't share them, they're not for us. There's a quote recently that I saw that was like, the tree doesn't eat its own fruit. The tree bears fruit for everyone else. The fruits of our gifts and our labors and things are not for us. They're to be shared. And the things that we learn and the beautiful things we create, they're for other people to heal through, to enjoy, to find something in that we put into it. So it's really important that we do that because, again, it will go away. That's happened to me with several of my talents so far, and like dancing and recently I've been sick twice over break, first from school, like for Christmas break. I was so excited to just be done with like the stuff like creating on deadlines and having to create rather than creating out of passion. And I wanted to just sing again, I didn't take the time to do that during school and or create videos or do anything that I was enjoying doing and sharing. And I was sick 2 times, and both times I lost my voice. Like to where I could not speak, let alone sing. And I'm still on the latter end of healing from the second time I've lost my voice. Like it hit me like a ton of bricks because we just turned into 2025 and there's so much extra, I don't want to say pressure, but like kind of like pressure to do what we came here to do, to push into what we've been called for. And I know that I've been called to create things like this, to bring music and to bring my spiritual beliefs, which I put on my TikTok, like things that I know to be true, that I channel, that things come through me. I don't need to perfect myself anymore in order to share what I've learned. I don't need to shy away from sharing just singing. Like so many people do covers of music and just to make people happy, just because it makes them happy. And then it in turn makes other people happy. And eventually I will share my own music once I like am happy with it and stuff. But like, why am I not just singing? Why am I not just doing the things that I love and sharing that instead of feeling like the messages that I have to bring are supposed to be specifically perfect or whatever? Like, I've been limiting myself so much. I know so many people are also doing that. So I just wanted to encourage you to know that it's time to press into that. It's time to start the thing. Do the things that you want to do. Do the things that are on your heart. They're on your heart because that's God. God's calling you to do that. There's a reason. Just like there's a reason your Chiron is in whatever place that it's in. And if you have questions about that, I can help you figure that out for sure. And it's really transformative. Healing wounds like that, healing things, just even learning about it is life-changing because it gives you permission to press into it. It gives you a reason that you are having certain tendencies or whatever it may be, things that are stopping you. And I've said this before, you can't change something that you don't see. You can't change something that you don't know about yourself. So that awareness is the first step. So I'm going to go ahead and I have to for school, but for my final project, I have to like create social media accounts and make a whole package of who I am as an artist. And I haven't fully decided that yet, but I do have like a brand kind of. So I think maybe I'll just start singing. I'll make some social media accounts surrounding that artist that I am. And then eventually it'll have my own music on it. I'm ready to. I'm ready to be fully authentic. Like I thought that I was. And authenticity has layers for sure, because we'll never probably know all there is to know about us because we're constantly growing and learning and meeting new people and having new scenarios in our lives that change us. Ultimately, we can start somewhere and we can keep unraveling that and keep following what feels authentic to us, following what feels good. And it's important that we do that now because it's going to get harder to chase that. It's going to get harder to go back to that. It's going to get harder to erase the things that we do that are bad for us. It's time to get on that boat or it's leaving kind of thing. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening. Have a good week.